Hey everyone, and welcome to Becoming You. I'm so excited that you've decided to jump onto this fabulous program. And my name's Mandy Stevenson, and I'm an author. I'm the author of Shazam, as you can see in the background, and I'm a kinesiologist, spinal flow therapist, a scanner practitioner, and coach, cellular health coach, and life coach. So, welcome to the program. And I really wanted to just introduce you to the course, the whole 6 months worth of individual modules presented for you to watch in your own time as my gift to you. I'm super excited about the whole program. And in this program, we will explore each of the different chakras, each of the different levels of consciousness and habits over the 6 months. The first pillar will be the S2S Ascension Ladder, ascending up through the chakras from Struggle Street to Serenity. So that's the S2S Ascension Ladder. So welcome to this one. We're going to explode some myths and get excited about what the next step is. So just follow each program one by one at a time, or just jump in on any particular one that tickles your fancy. So I hope you enjoy it. And by the way, there's a wonderful Synergy membership available if you want to have one-on-one discussions with me about any particular topic, or if you want to join in with a group discussion about any particular topic. That's where you can join in with a Synergy membership, and there will be links in this program for you to join Synergy membership. It's a very minimal cost. It's a very low monthly fee and $75 a month Australian. It's nothing. So I really encourage you to join in with some of the discussion, but also enjoy the program. That's what it's there for. It's there for you to enjoy and to find your own unique magic and become you. Enjoy. Welcome. Today we're going to discuss attitude, beliefs, and choices. Did you know that your attitude determines your altitude? If you're feeling on top of the world, then that's exactly where you will be. But if you're feeling down in the dumps, that's exactly where everything, your vibrations and everything will be, down in the dumps. So we need to be really conscious of our attitude, because our thoughts create things. Our thoughts create our whole beliefs, etc. But first of all, let's talk a little bit about beliefs. So where do beliefs come from? There's multiple different types of beliefs. We can have childhood beliefs. We can have cultural beliefs. We can have society's beliefs. So childhood beliefs are probably the strongest one that most of us are affected by. And they can be developed by whatever you've learnt as a child, or heard as a child, or been told as a child. You form a belief. So the learning, first of all, is a brain function. And we learn from our peers, our parents, everything around us. We're watching a child learn to walk. They learn, but their beliefs then become cemented in their mind. So first of all, we have a brain function, and then it becomes a mind function. So our beliefs are a mind function, and it's that gap in the middle that we can actually change our beliefs by going back to a new learning, looking at where that first learning was, and changing that learning to a new belief. So we can cement a new belief in our mind. So we don't have to be stuck with all of those childhood beliefs. There's also cultural beliefs, religious beliefs, society. Society makes us think that we should do something, that's not acceptable, that's not politically correct. They're all beliefs. So we are affected by all of these things, but they are externally imposed on us. So we always have a choice to change those beliefs. We also have these protectors within us and most beliefs occur because they're there to protect us from some external danger or fear. Or when we take a child learning to walk, for example, when they're learning to walk and they fall over, obviously they learn that, ouch, that hurts. So maybe I won't go quite so close to the table next time, or those are the sorts of, they're protectors, they're positive ones. But we also have protectors. Take, for example, if you've been told as a child that you can't sing. And I was told that one. My brother constantly told me that, I don't like the sound of your singing, you can't sing at all. And a lot of people are told that by their peers and their families, etc. And they stop singing. And singing is a natural phenomenon we all should do, because we all enjoy the feeling, and it releases a lot of emotion, etc. when we sing. So that belief there is somebody has told you, don't do that. The protector in all of that is, oh, well, I better not do that because people won't like me, or they won't like the sound of what I'm doing. Or a really important one, actually, that one, to recognize, is that a protector? Is that real? Is that somebody else's imposition of what I like to do, but they didn't like that? Does that mean that they won't like me? Some people feel that they have to tell the truth, or their truth, and it's their truth, not your truth necessarily. So when you've got something like that, and it may be a fear of playing a game because somebody said you're crap at that game, or you didn't win or something, does that mean that you give up completely? A little exercise, a little bit of home play is to go away and have a think about some of those beliefs that you have, that you might be frightened of doing something, or frightened of what people might think, is to think about back to when you first thought that belief. What was the situation? What was the emotion going through your mind? Was it your truth, or was it somebody else's truth? It's really important to sort of thing to consider when you're looking at beliefs and those protectors is it your truth, or is it somebody else's truth? Bruce Lipton's Biology of Belief talks about thoughts actually affect you at a cellular level. The DNA in the center, in the nucleus of our cells, is actually, that's the blueprint. But how we use that blueprint is up to us. And we can consciously work on how we actually use that blueprint and what we do with that blueprint. So that's where our beliefs come in. So we can change our cellular structure and our cellular motivation with the emotions, etc., that we attach to those beliefs. So think back on the emotion that you first held with that belief, when you first, that protector, that belief that you first felt. And it's the same with happy beliefs, that you believe this is something that you really enjoy, because going back early, that was a time when you really enjoyed doing that. So that's where our beliefs form. And our beliefs are very much cemented in our subconscious mind. Our subconscious mind is 99% of our whole mind, and our conscious mind is the other 1%. There's an awful lot of things that are going on in our subconscious at a million zillion minutes times per second that we don't even have a chance to consider. So drilling down into the subconscious of those early childhood beliefs that are there subconsciously, we don't even have a time to think about them. We can actually drill down and we can change what's going on in our subconscious, especially if you attach a positive emotion to it. So that's what I'd really like you to do. So let's move on to attitude. Your attitude determines your altitude, as I said at the very beginning. Thoughts become things. So if you believe that you're going to win a game, win a race, then the more you believe that, the more you actually visualize that and focus on that. This is how Olympic champions get to their end goal. They visualize the whole race. They visualize themselves appearing at it. They visualize themselves starting there. Their attitude is always about winning. Their attitude is, I am going to win that race. It's that not, I'm going to do my best, or I'm going to have a go, or I'm going to try. I mean, as in Star Wars, Yoda said, there is no try. So this really is a case of your attitude determines your altitude. If you're determined you're going to do something, that'll be your attitude, and you will actually get there. Life is a matter of choice. There's no doubt about that. But we all choose our attitude. So you better make sure you choose a good one, because that's what you will manifest, your attitude. You can have an attitude of fascination. Jim Quick always had a learning difficulty as a child, and he believed that learning was actually learning through emotions, energy in motion. he believed if you were fascinated about whatever it was that was out there, you would learn it a lot more, a lot faster, and a lot more, cement that learning in a lot more if you actually had an attitude of being fascinated. So an attitude of fascination will allow you to learn. Doesn't matter whether you're doing a uni course or if you're just reading a book or just out in nature, just an attitude of fascination, you will actually remember a lot more about it and you'll learn it a lot faster. There's also an attitude of gratitude. So we can always have this, that the world's out to get me, or nobody loves me, or, I'm not, why would I be thankful for that? But switch that around. We need to flip these things and have an attitude of gratitude. And it's an easy thing to remind yourself, isn't it? Because it just rhymes, it rolls off the tongue, an attitude of gratitude. So that's our real belief, and an attitude of winning, which I talked about before. And don't blame the past. There's no excuses. You can blame the past for all sorts of things that went on in your past. I mean, I've got lots of things that went on in my past. My dad died early, at the age of 5. My elder brother was killed when I was only 13. I fell pregnant very early. I had my children early, but I could blame those things, or I could say that was amazing because I was able to actually grow up with my kids. I was still young enough to be doing all sorts of amazing things with my kids. So don't blame the things that go on in your past. Flip it and use them for a positive outcome, that you can actually sort of say, well, actually, that was a really positive thing, that as a result of that, I was able to do such and such. And I was also able to be young enough to go skiing with my grandchildren and things like that because I had my children young. So there's always a really good positive things that you can find in your life. So yeah, it's really important to do that. Choices. We all have choices, and there's I love Viktor Frankl's choices. The freedom to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances is to choose one's own way. Sorry, I'll repeat that. The freedom to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances is to choose one's own way. So there's choices and attitude in there, two vital words. Viktor Frankl was in the Holocaust. He was a Jew that was detained by the Germans in the Holocaust and had everything absolutely stripped from him. His manhood was stripped from him. His family were all killed. And he basically felt he had nothing to live for. But he always maintained that life is a choice. Life is a matter of choice. And it was how you respond to something, whatever that happens to you, and the response that you have, there's always a gap in between the action and the response. And it's that gap in the middle where you can make the choice, where he made a choice. I'm going to live. I'm going to go on. And he went on, of course, and wrote the most amazing book, Man's Search for Meaning. Highly recommend the book for anybody that wants to improve, make them realize how precious life is and how much we can get out of it if we actually make the right choices. So the best way to predict your future is to create it. And whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. You're absolutely right. But Joe Dispenza had a wonderful quote, and most people are viewing their future through the lens of the past. So once again, your choices, the choices that you make, depend on what went on in the past and how you can actually adjust that and make a choice for the future. You always have a choice at all the crossroads in your life. Even nature has choices. But we tend to think of them as being haphazard, but atoms, the electrons floating around an atom can decide whether they're going to stay with that particular one or going to move over to another one. Getting a bit deep in the science there. But, lightning strikes. Where's lightning? Lightning never strikes in the same place twice. Well, that's what they say. But, where's it going to strike? There's always a choice for nature. There's always that uncertainty, but we always have a choice. So the choices we make are always made from associations. So when we're trying to decide between two things, we're always associating what's happened, what ifs. If one particular thing happens, and we associate the response that might happen with that, with one thing or the other side. So the associations that we've made with things. So once again, that goes back to our beliefs. So by working on our beliefs at a core level, we're more likely to make much more positive choices. But we also have to work out whether is it perception or fantasy or what that is making us determine those beliefs. So take fear, for example. I love the saying that fear, the letters in fear, is a fantasized experience appearing real. So in other words, you've created a fantasy about what might happen if you make that choice. So is that a fantasy or is it real? Is it something that you've actually created that might happen? Shock horror, but it hasn't actually really happened and it's never happened. So it's false evidence appearing real. So you just got to be really careful that you're not actually making your choices with fantasized options. You can either choose to go back to safety or you can choose to go forward to growth. So sometimes the choices are difficult, the choices that we make, but you always have a choice. But remember, do I want to go back to safety? And sometimes that's a good thing. Or do I want to go forward to growth? Do I want to push through this? It might be a challenge, whatever it is that you have to do. It might be a challenge, but do I really want to push through it? So, and having had that wonderful attitude of learning and continuous learning, I really like to sort of feel, and I guess that's why at my age I'm still enrolling in courses. I always have this desire to learn. A lot of people, when they didn't enjoy their school experience, so they feel that they don't want to learn anymore because that's what learning or that's what doing a course or is all about. It's about sitting in a classroom and being told, you're wrong, no, that idea is wrong, etc. So their experiences at school were not necessarily good experiences. So, and that's about going back once again to our beliefs. What are those protectors? I don't want to be told I'm wrong, I'm doing the wrong thing, rather than having that attitude of fascination, the attitude of the fascinated, and think of the opportunities that are out there. It creates continuous learning, creates so much opportunity. And there are different learning styles, of course, too. So whether you're an auditory learner who likes to hear what's going on, a lot of musicians are auditory learners, unless, of course, they are sight readers and then they read by sight. I play my music by ear and I love to listen to audible books and I love to listen to lectures. So obviously I'm an auditory learner. I have a bit of a photographic memory as to where something is on the page when I have to regurgitate it in a test or an exam. But actually, to what the meaning is on that page, I don't necessarily remember it all. I need to hear it. So I like to listen to affirmations and read meditations. So don't forget to listen to the meditations or the thoughts for the day that I've also downloaded for you for this week. There's just some amazing gems of insight, and if you're an auditory learner, you'll really respond to those sorts of things. Some people are visual learners. They need to read something. My husband reads everything, a newspaper from the back to the front, and remembers everything that he reads in it. And he loves reading. He likes reading books as well. So whereas I like to listen to books, when he starts to listen to a book, he starts to go off to sleep. So that's just different learning styles, and there's no right or wrong. There's no judgment in any of that. You need to identify what your style is so that you can actually make the most of that learning style. So, and Jim Kwik's, I mentioned Jim Kwik's before, having the attitude of the fascinated. So memory, he believes memory equals information and emotion. So make sure you're attaching a positive emotion to whatever it is that you're learning about. And I guess if it's a negative thing, some people like to read scary stories, etc. They like that feeling, that emotion there, and they probably remember the story. But make sure that doesn't become the attitude and the belief that you have about what's out there. I was talking to somebody the other day and I was talking about where I like to go for a walk. And I loved going for a walk in the bush, and a lot of the bush around here is Melaleuca forest and it's quite dark and enclosed. And I went walking with someone and they said, "But you don't go walking here alone, do you?" And I said, "Yeah, it doesn't worry me. I feel quite at home and grounded in nature. I have no fear. I don't believe that there are people there waiting to jump out at me. But some of these people like to, and she was saying, maybe I read too many mystery stories or unsolved murders and things like that. And I said, well, yeah, perhaps so. I don't fill my brain up with those sorts of things. I like a good whodunit, but they're always resolved in the end anyway. So yeah, I just don't have those sorts of fear. Once again, it's a fantasy. It's fantasized. So combining all of these things, what is your belief about walking in nature and being alone in nature and just immersing yourself in the vibrations out there? What's your attitude when you actually go out there for a walk? And what are the choices you make about where you walk? And what have you learned about all of those things and past experiences? So combining all of the things that we've talked about this morning, we've talked about beliefs, where they came from, your protectors, how you can actually do something about them, your attitude, create an attitude of gratitude, an attitude of the fascinated, because your attitude determines your altitude. Watch your language, make sure you're actually speaking the right sort of talk. I am a winner, I can do this, I feel really positive about going there, I love my walks in the bush. Language is so important. Your self-talk is just so vitally important. So the choices you make, you actually have a choice to make. That gap between whatever happens and your response, that gap between stimulus and response, there's always a space in the middle for a choice. So you can make that choice. You can choose to go forward to growth, or you can choose to go back to safety. And have that attitude of continuous learning. So obviously, if you're doing this course, you obviously have an attitude of continuous learning. So I commend you for that, and I honor you for that. So it's a wonderful way to live, because there's just so many fabulous opportunities out there. So listen to the meditations, and I hope you've enjoyed attitudes and beliefs today. And I look forward to seeing you again. So bye for now.